Welcome to the Moving Past You radio show, a show about identifying, confronting, and embracing the obstacles that block and delay us in walking in our divine purpose. Each week, we delve into the complexities and rewards of walking in your purpose. Now, here's your host, Juanita Gaynor.
Good evening, everyone. I didn't mute this time. I forgot not to do. I remembered not to do that. Because I'm good for doing that. But welcome. It is Friday night. And think about it, reviewing, football, whatever, Friday Night Lights. For some people who get the reference, others they don't. I understand that. But I'm your host. I want to thank you for making season 4 an awesome journey. Like I said earlier in the season, we have some amazing guests. This process has brought me in touch with and connected me with so many amazing women that are willing to share their journey and willing to share how that journey has, propulsed them into doing what their purpose is, and that is to serve others. So of course I'm excited. So we got one more week in February. First of all, the fact that it's February, it was just Christmas, wasn't it? Like, it's just time is moving. And I say that with all, heart and intent and purposes because that is true. Time is moving. What are we doing with our time? How are we investing our time? Are we investing in self-care? Are we investing in being the best people that we can be? Are we being transparent in our story and telling it so that someone else can live their life in purpose and on purpose? There was a point in time when we would keep these things to ourselves and we wouldn't tell the world. Or like I said, and this is indicative of those who know what generational trauma is what goes on in his house stays in his house. You don't talk about anything that goes on, but we're past that now. We are at a point where we're into generational healing. We are upturning generational curses. We are not going back to the way things used to be. So we have to be open and honest and willing to lay it on the line. And so what we're here to do and what I'm here to do is that inspire you to do so. Because in this journey, many of us, even though we're still in our healing process, we may not be at the point of healing that you're in or you're entering it, but we're still in our healing journey. But now we have mastered that, we have grown, and we're taking what we've learned in our healing and our growth to help those walk into their healing and their growth and their renewal. And so, again, watch us, love us, because we're watching and loving you as well. And so let's talk about tonight's guest. I'm loving this. So tonight we're going to have Miss Lane Love. I just love the name. The name is perfect right there. She's an author and an award-winning coach. I do it. I know. Look, God be doing it for me. He be finding me the perfect people to connect us with to bring us maximal love. So, captivated by self-mastery, driven by the knowingness that she was meant for more, and dedicated to actualizing her mission and leading others to do the same, Lane is passionate about innovation and committed to individuals who are self-activated, taking action, and seeking to positively contribute to the evolution of humanity by leaving a legacy of love. Like right there. By leaving a legacy of love. She is an award-winning spirituality, psychology coach, best-selling author, leading edge healer, founder and CEO of A Bigger Mission, and a proud mother. So, what I'm going to do is present to some and introduce to others Miss Lane Love.
Hello. Thank you so much for that very warm introduction. And it's really great to be here. I'm excited.
Well, I'm excited to have you because your outtake, your look, what you're doing within the healing space is amazing. And again, a lot of people don't realize and understand that even through their healing process, even through uprooting the trauma, they have to lead with love. They have to understand that love has to be a foundational key for that. And so I'm thankful for the work that you do in that space. You know, so what I want you to do is tell us a little bit about yourself and what was the propelling point for you to do what you do?
Ooh, well, it wasn't like an easy, automatic thing. It was a long, drawn out journey. I'm sure that many people could resonate with that feeling. And it doesn't have to be that way for everyone. All things are possible. But like a lot of people, I grew up in chaos, a single mom, 4 kids, and she was just a teenage mama when she started having children. And, she didn't necessarily have the tools and skills to create success and to create a safe, nurturing environment. So I experienced definitely a lot of turmoil. And that shaped, how I thought and who I was and what I thought was possible for me in the world and the partners that I attracted into my life. And the feeling that everything was going to be hard and that it was never going to happen for me, that all those beautiful things were for other people. And I'm sure that resonates with a lot of people. And so the hope and the dream is just to share that I understand that you can come from that space, and it can feel really hard. It can feel not even possible. And it can be possible that you can change. And as you said so beautifully in the introduction of your show, we can break generational patterns, curses, hexes. We can change ourselves and thereby change our lineage. And that is pretty darn amazing.
Yeah, it is. Because I know, and I relate to the story of your mom so well because mine's wasn't just there, and so I also feel that a mother wound for some of us is so much harder to overcome sometimes because it impacts us in not only our personal walk but in how we interact with other women because it teaches us how other women should react or respond to whatever, unsubconsciously we do that. And I know for me, I had to understand not only in forgiveness of her, and when I look back at the circumstances that surrounded her own life, I realized that I was asking her to give me something that she wasn't capable of because she never had that. And so what I want to ask you is like, when you think about your journey and getting to this point, is that something you had to reflect upon in order to move forward in your own healing? And how did you kind of navigate that with the relationship currently, if that is, in place?
Yeah, that's definitely a part of it. I was always really proud of my mom. I recognized how hard that she worked. She finished high school, went to college, became a nurse, and worked and, maintained 4 children. And that's pretty darn amazing.
Yes.
So I always recognize that, as much as I didn't get a lot of things, I didn't get safety or really feel loved, and wasn't protected from things happening to me or witnessing a lot of things. That I was always proud of my mom and I could always recognize, where she came from, and the things that she overcame, and understood why she was where she was because of where she came from. And if our job is as parents to do better than what we came from, then my mom did that. Yeah. And as I moved into like maturity and wisdom and became a mother, I got to reflect more on what I would accept and what I wouldn't accept in my life. And definitely I was willing to accept substandard for myself, but I wasn't willing to accept substandard for my son. In so many ways, my son was a great gift in my life for so many different reasons, but certainly for learning to draw firmer boundaries, but knowing also that I had to. And so when it came to the unhealthy patterns that existed within my family, I chose to walk away because from my experience, I didn't feel that my family was doing any of their work, going to therapy, learning to take responsibility for how they show up, the things that they've done, and invest in becoming a healthier version of themselves. And so because that was the way it was, I decided to leave. So it's just me and my son. And I have lovingly created a boundary from my family.
That is wonderful and inspiring and the same, because so many of us keep family around because we don't want to be alone, or we want to still have thinking that if we do our work, it will encourage them to do their work. It's just always this hope of bringing them into the fold with it, and that's not always the case. And you're a nice prime example of when it's okay to just walk away, because you have to preserve what your boundaries are. And that's great in that. So,
yeah.
When I think about that, how has setting those boundaries, how has that pivoted, turned for you into doing the work that you do with individuals?
Yeah. It took a while to integrate like what that was, because exactly that is, it was a painful choice to make, because then it makes me alone. It makes my son alone. And learning how important that boundary was, and what I would accept into my life and what I wouldn't, and why, just because we are related doesn't mean that I have to accept any and all behavior from you, and doesn't mean that I have to forgive any and all behavior. And when I say forgive, I don't mean like not letting it go in my heart, because of course I have to do that for myself. I have to forgive them in my heart so that I don't carry around that anger or frustration or sadness. So I had to do a lot of healing work within myself, and a lot of grieving, because I've lost those people, the good, the bad, and the ugly, or the beautiful. And so how that integrates into the work that I do, well, we're all faced with really challenging choices in our lives, some more than other. And those challenging choices are reflected either in relationships and or in business, when you have to come up to a choice point. What choice are you going to make, and why? And understanding what the consequences of that choice is or are. And then not just in the moment, because I think a lot of people understand, yes, okay, if I make this choice right now, this is the consequence, but it's taking it a step further into, it's that direct or immediate consequence, but then that also what happens thereafter. So it's in my family, for instance, yeah, it's making that moment and like instantaneously or immediately. They're not in my life, but what happens, like next Christmas or on my son's graduation, or if they're sick or if I'm sick, or those moments in life when I decided to make that choice, was fully understanding what that meant. And again, for clients, it's fully understanding, okay, you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to make this business decision. Well, do you understand, like in this moment, okay, this is the consequence, but like further down the road, are you still willing to meet that consequence, and really understanding the full spectrum of that?
Got you. Your consequences are a big thing. I don't think a lot of people do things without thinking. They do it a lot without thinking. I would say it was something that my grandmother used to say to me. She says, when you're okay with the consequences of something, she says, I worry for you. Because, I used to be the one that would think things through, like, okay, if I do this, I know I'm going to be on punishment for about 2 to 3 weeks. And, then it would stop me from not doing it. But then when something happened and I was just tired, like if I was being bullied, which happened often. And when I would get tired, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to get suspended for at least the rest of the week. And I'm going to be on punishment for about 2 weeks. But yeah, that's going to be fine. I'm just going to, do that. And I had to adjust that even in my adult life, because it's like, okay, you don't need to be in jail or some real trouble because you got tired. You have to really look at those, the consequences of actions differently and take accountability. And that's when I knew, for me, emotional healing was needed, because I could, go there and then setting those boundaries. So you're absolutely right. Like really thinking through consequences and really thinking through accountability works for that process.
Yeah.
Now, when you work with your clients, now, not only your ideal client, but what does that look like? Do they need to come to you? At what point is your client coming to you ready to work through their healing? Because I can make an assumption of that, but I want you to tell me, what does that client look like and what is their process? Just on a general basis, because I know everyone's different. But what does that look like with your client coming to you, that ideal person working with you?
Well, who tends to be drawn to working with me are people that have already done a lot of work, and they've either capped out at the results of that work, or they're not being able to find the results that they want. So they've tried a lot of things and they feel like they're getting nowhere. But they know that they need to invest in doing the work, because that is the thing about growing and evolving, and continuing to become the person that you want to be, is it does definitely involves stages, levels, and a lot of work. And I know I found that really frustrating. I kept waiting for it to be done. But wait a minute, like I've already done this, and this, so I should have this then, right? Or I should be here, or I shouldn't have I can relax a little bit. It took me a long while to really understand that the work is never done. There's always something new to uncover. And yeah, it's okay to take some breaks. Sometimes I take some breaks. And we got to keep going. You got to keep going. You can take the night off. You can take a couple of days off, but you got to get back into it. It's persistence, it's dedication, and it just becomes who you are. Just like with any other habit or any other thing that you're trying to invest in, whether it's a skill or your health or growing your business, there are no days off. And the more that you evolve and the more patterns that you clear, the easier it is to find success in all the areas of your life, whether that's like a better relationships or becoming a better parent or growing or evolving your business. And so those tend to be the type of people that want to work with me. And I've only been able to do that because that was my path, was working with my own frustrations and having, studied very many different modalities with amazing masters from around the globe, and figuring that stuff out on my own, falling down a million times and having to crawl my way up, and meet myself so many different times, because that's the game. That's why it requires persistence. Is you're playing against yourself. You're playing against yourself every day.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for that transparency, but I also thank you for validating a point that I've been making, and I know a lot of others have been making, that the healing journey is a journey, and that there's multi-layers and it's multifaceted. I think so many people think that, okay, once I heal this area, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
No, because you may have only healed the 6-year-old. You have to go through the healing for the teenager, the young adult, the adult, like the different phases of life that you still had to go through that trauma. And so I love the fact that you say you work with those who become frustrated, because I think many people feel that us coaches are a one-all fit all. Like we can handle every aspect in every field in every lane. And I think it's great that you've just validated, like, no, sometimes we have to, we'll get to a point and you got to come to me. You come to someone else because we now are ready for you at the phase you're at.
Yes, exactly. And I always say that. I said, everything works. The good news is that there's a lot of amazing healers and therapists and coaches and different modalities. So there are different roads to get you there, and different teachers and mentors to take you there. And they all work. It's just using the right tool at the right time, and knowing when it's time to move on and get at the problem, the challenge, from a different angle, just like you would with any other challenge in your life. This has only worked to this degree. Like, I can only use the hand screwdriver for so long. Eventually I have to get a power drill, and sometimes I have to get a hammer, and sometimes I'm going to have to hire the professional to come in and help me, and sometimes I have to take down the whole wall. Like, just because we're going in thinking that it's one thing, we're going to uncover along the way that there are all these other things in the way, and all of these other things that we need to clear and heal, and different modalities that we need to work with, and also moving our bodies, like integrating the different aspects. So it's not just, the mental, emotional, it's also the spiritual, it's also the physical, it's also the energetic, like realizing and acknowledging that you're not a simple creature or being. You are a very complex being. A human being is extremely complex. And we have so many different factors that are affecting us at every moment. We have our lineage, our ancestry, our past parallel lives. We have collective energy. We have what it is that we've experienced in this life. There are so many different dynamics at play, and so many different factors that are affecting us. It's really important to understand how complex we are, and that we need to source solutions from all of those various aspects.
Yeah. And that's what I like. That's amazing for, us to really understand that. And so I've been asking this of everyone this season, and I personally feel that season 4 will be the end when I can ask this question, because I think we're a little bit further out of this pandemic, that switched over. But for COVID, how did that overall kind of not only work for you when it came to your own transition, because COVID was a time when everybody had to sit still. It wasn't just, individuals or those who went through healing and their own journey. Everybody had to sit still. Everyone had to reflect. How has that affected your journey, and how has that affected the clients that have come to you, their journey overall?
Well, I think, COVID, I had a great time with COVID, in that, by saying that, I mean that I was blessed in my experience of it, because I got to spend a lot of time with my son and outside and just being present and investing in myself. Like, I really went inwards, and there were some challenging moments for sure. There were a lot of things boiling up to the surface, a lot of feelings, a lot of different challenging conversations to navigate, and a lot of fear in the air. But I was blessed enough to be in a bubble, because I put myself there. I chose that. It is a choice, but I also have to acknowledge that I was able to do that, and I recognize that not everybody was able to do that. So I was able to just choose to spend time with my son, and to work on myself. And the type of people that drew to me, I think it's the same. I just think that now people are looking at themselves and are more open to looking at themselves in different ways, and acknowledging that they either need help and or that they're interested in help, and they're also more interested in contributing positively to the evolution and unfoldment of the world and society and their communities. And I think that's a really beautiful, powerful thing. And that leads into, the focus of my work is tending to be leaning towards helping people live into their bigger missions. Like, what are you here to do? Because we're all here for a reason. Right. We're all unique, and we all have a gift to give. And what's your particular gift? What's your mission? What are you here to birth?
That's wonderful. Yeah, because COVID was really, for me, I'm an introvert, so it was an introvert's dream. I loved it. I know a lot of people who did. It was just like, you mean to tell me I don't have to go out and deal with it, like, people at all? Like, I don't have to worry about it? I'm like, yes, game on. But I noticed, even for myself, that, people that I began to work with, I was getting the calls of the final, oh my God, like, because they had to sit still. They didn't have the distractions of, having to run the kids everywhere or do this, whatever. Like, they literally had to sit still, and that all you had to do was reflect. So I think it was an opening aspect for the world overall, and being open and transparent about their thought process and how they were feeling and what healing should look like. And so when I think about that, and I think about that, you being an author, how have you taken, or how are you taking that journey and putting it into words? What projects are you working on? Have you worked on, and to do that?
Well, I finished How to Use Hypnosis to Master Your Brain. Mm-hmm. That was my first book. I think that was in 2021. So, and then my latest book that just was released this year, or the very end of 2023, very beginning of 2024, A Bigger Mission, and that was co-created with 12 authors altogether. And it is all focused on, we all share a story of trauma that we experienced, endured, and were able to overcome. And they're all 12 different, very different stories, 12 different people that have all overcome great challenges. And in our workbook that goes with it, that will be released this spring, we have the exercises that we used to enable us to move through those challenges. So that was a really beautiful thing to be able to write and offer and contribute to that, because so many people, all of us, well, maybe not all of us, but most of us have experienced more than one traumatic incident in our lives, and a great challenge that really shook us and brought us to our knees, and we didn't feel like we were able to overcome it, or how could we, or how could anybody else even understand. And to be able to read those stories and know that other people have lived them and gotten through them and are on the other side, it's really, really inspiring. So I'm really proud of that project.
That's
really
wonderful.
proud of that book. Yeah.
Wonderful. Now, what you think of working in another anthology with other people, because of being able to also work with and network others who have possibly gone through not only similar challenges, but a trauma to the point where that they themselves had to do the inward work to heal.
Yeah, working with people that have trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, initially I was the healer. I was looking to heal myself. So studying healing, one, because I just have like a natural innate curiosity about how the body works and about how we can heal. But two, it was because I needed to heal a lot of things in my life. I needed to heal my heart. I needed to heal my fractured soul and my body, and so many things. So all the aspects of myself, really. And the gift of that is I can understand or resonate and have compassion for people and where they are and the experiences and the pain that certain traumatic experiences can have, and the paralysis and the frozenness and the powerlessness that we can experience from having endured those moments in our lives. So I acknowledge everyone out there that is trying to deal with that and live through it and make it to the other side, because there were times definitely when I didn't think I was going to. And I didn't, my tank was empty, and I just didn't see how I could go on. I tried all of the things and did all of the things, and nothing was working, and I was angry and I was frustrated and I was hopeless, and I really didn't think that there was any point or purpose to go forward. So I definitely understand what it is to be there. And you can get to the other side, and you can have a different life. It just does take effort and work and commitment and dedication.
Yeah, it does. And I really thank you for that. And again, validating and letting people know, because sometimes we think it's an end all be all and that can be fixed. And, the transparency of saying, hey, I was there. Hey, this is how I felt. It's a great thing just for people to see, because it's in our transparency that people can find their own healing. And so, what are you working on currently? Like, what do you got a little bit down in the bag? What are you thinking about? What do you have going on that's coming up that we as listeners and viewers can support or look forward to from Lane?
Well, right now the focus is really about the book, A Bigger Mission, because it's newly out and it was a bestseller in several different categories, which is really fantastic. And then we have the workbook, as I mentioned, that will be coming out, and then the audio version as well. And so that is taking a lot of effort and energy, and we're all loving being a part of that project, and really excited to see what it is going to do on its own, because I believe that definitely every business and every creation has its own purpose and soul, and see what the work is that it's meant here to do. But also a few of us are moving forward with a bigger mission org and looking to support different people, different businesses, different charities around the globe, and helping them give birth to their missions, to their bigger missions. So that is a growing passion project for sure.
Awesome. So tell our guests how they can reach you, how they can, reach out to you, to just reach out to you or to work with you. How can they do that?
They can go to my website, and that is lainey.com. That's LAINNE.com. So easy. I got so lucky. My goodness, I get to have my name.
Yes.
Right? And you can also go to Lainey Love on Instagram. And you can send me a DM, and you can book a call. You can do that on my website as well, or you can send me a DM on LinkedIn, which is also Lainey Love on LinkedIn. It's easy.
I know, that's wonderful. Wonderful. And so definitely we'll with who will listen on playback and notes and whatever, will also, get us that link for the book. We would love for the guests and the viewers to, the listeners to support the book as well, because then it supports you and others and in healing.
Yeah, and it supports them. It's an amazing book, and the feedback and the reviews have been so powerful and so supportive. It definitely will be a gift to you as well, the reader.
Wonderful. And so just as we wrap up, what last words of encouragement you have for those listening about, what they can do or where they're at in their, prospective healing journey, that it'll be okay. And however you get there, you're going to get there. But what words of encouragement can you offer for those who may not think it's possible?
It is possible. And to remember that you matter. You really, really matter, and your story matters, and your journey matters. And even though it's so hard sometimes, it's so hard that you just don't feel like you want to get up, or you don't feel like you can. You can dig a little deeper. You can find more within yourself. There is more within you. And there's more within you because you're so important, and that you're here for a reason, and you're here for your bigger mission. And you can do anything, and you can do everything. You're a one-of-a-kind wonder. And you're so loved, and you're so supported. And sometimes it doesn't feel that way, but you are. And you just remember that, and know that right now in this moment, and come back and listen to it, and know that you are loved, and you are important, and you can do it.
Thank you so much, Lane. Oh, it was a blessing to have you with us on this evening to talk about your journey in your book. I know I enjoyed talking with you. I don't care what no one says, but I want to thank you for being here this evening for our guests, and for those who are going to rewind this and listen to it, down the future, showing that love is key, and love, healing is possible, but it's just a journey, it's a journey, not just a destination. So I thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you again.
So everyone, what did I tell you? I told you that season 4 is amazing, and Miss Lane Love is also amazing. So I will definitely make sure that we'll have the contact information for the book. You'll be able to find ways of contacting her. I'll be honest, don't be like, oh, I can't find it. You can reach it on the website too, movingpastyou.com. You can come there. You can find everything that you need regarding all of our guests. But I want you to definitely love and support. And it's, again, this journey, this healing journey, it is a marathon. And what we want you to understand is that trying to sprint through this is not going to work. I know it may seem hard. It may seem difficult. You wanted to end up, you just want to get to that final destination. But we want you to get to that final destination the best version of you possible. And that means we have to tackle along the way every version, every formative version of you that was damaged or traumatized or hurt or abused and misused. We have to heal every formative person of you so that the final version of you is the best of you and the most awesome you and the most wonderful you. So I hope that these amazing women coming and sharing their stories and sharing their process is allowing those formative yous to walk in healing, to walk in love, and to walk in light. As always, thank you for joining us on this evening. Catch us next week as we are here at the same time, same location, as we speak more into walking into our purpose and moving past the things that are obstacles and things that are in our way. I love you. Be blessed and have a wonderful evening.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Moving Past You radio show. Make sure to visit our website at www.movingpastyou.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes. If you found value in the show, rate us on iTunes or simply tell a friend about the show. And be sure to tune in next Friday for our next episode. And remember to always be kind in your word, your thought, and in your deed. Be blessed.